Hello and welcome back to Football Daily, where today we're running through 10 of the most disappointing players at Euro 2020 to date. Let's get started. 10. Ruben Diaz. After a magnificent debut Premier League campaign which saw Ruben Diaz named as Man City's Player of the Year as they finished 3 wins short of a quadruple, big things were expected of the Portuguese this summer. But despite packing in at the centre of Fernando Santos' defence alongside the 38-year-old Pepe, Diaz looked incredibly shaky throughout. Speculation as to why that was has been rife, with some critics arguing the absence of club teammate João Cancelo on the right-hand side, replaced by the erratic Nelson Semedo, might have unnerved him. Either way, his performance level clearly dropped off. While he was still reasonably solid on the ground, winning 72% of his tackles, dwarfing Pepe's 54%, it was in the air that he struggled, coming out on top just 46% of the time, a drop of 13% from his Premier League level. Bullied by Mainz's Adam Soloy in their opener, he scored an own goal against Germany, was outpaced by Karim Benzema, 9 years his senior, for France's second goal in their 2-2 draw, before he failed to close down Torgan Hazard as the holders crashed out. Quite simply a tournament to forget. 9. Harry Kane. As this goes out, Harry Kane still has an opportunity to turn his tournament around against Germany in the last 16, as England look to secure their first knockout victory over Die Mannschaft since 1966. But it's clear Euro 2020 hasn't gone his way so far. The World Cup Golden Boot winner in 2018, Kane has been very much on the periphery thus far, completing under 20 passes per game. And when he has got the ball, he has looked ponderous, lethargic and pretty wasteful, with his pass success rate of 61%, ranking 354th of players to have featured in the tournament. His supporters will point to his fairly limited role in both of England's goals to date, but Kane will know that coming off the back of a season in which he contributed 37 league goals, third in Europe behind Lewandowski and Messi, he has to deliver. Currently averaging just 1.7 shots per 90, the same as Mats Hummels, and 0.4 key passes, there are clearly structural issues in England's attack. Yet to contribute a goal in 7 European Championship games across the last 2 tournaments, Kane risks being labelled a one-tournament wonder without a rapid improvement. 8. Ante Rebic. Unlike a lot of players on this list who have simply underperformed, there is an argument that Ante Rebic has actually been misused throughout Euro 2020 by his manager Zlatko Dalic. A regular since January for Milan, with whom he helped finish second in Serie A last season, their best finish for 10 years, anyone who has watched the Rossoneri over the last 18 months will know that he struggles playing centrally. And so, it was a surprise to see Rebic line up as a 9, with Hoffenheim talisman Kramaric played on the right during Croatia's opening game against England. The 27-year-old failed to create a chance or complete a dribble and only got 1 of his 3 shots on target as the 3 Lions avenged their 2018 World Cup exit. And after a woeful first half against the Czech Republic, in which he completed just over 50% of his passes and managed only 1 shot off target, Rebic was replaced by Petkovic at half-time, before playing just 9 minutes against Scotland and just over an hour of Croatia's epic clash against Spain. 7. Matthijs de Ligt. This inclusion feels pretty harsh, given De Ligt, De Vrij and Blind generally formed a very solid defensive unit throughout their Euro 2020 campaign in the absence of Virgil van Dijk. But the Juventus man, by his own admission, cost his nation their last 16 tie against the Czech Republic. With the scores at 0-0 and having already put in a remarkable block from a Barak shot, De Ligt was probably feeling fairly comfortable as the clock struck 55 minutes. But then disaster struck. The 21-year-old allowed a ball to bounce twice at the edge of the box, decided to block Schick off and then attempt to scoop the ball behind him using his hand. Initially given as a yellow, VAR brought him to justice and a 10-man Netherlands were powerless to prevent the Czechs romping to victory. Having won 100% of the tackles he attempted in the tournament, 67% of his aerial duels and 91% of his passes, De Ligt actually had a pretty solid competition. But his brain fade in the last 16 was the key reason behind their exit, and that is nothing but a disappointment. 6. Alexander Golovin. Russia surprised many with their excellent run as hosts of the 2018 World Cup, getting out of the groups for the first time since the fall of the Soviet Union, beating a Spain side which still contained Piqué, Sergio Ramos and David Silva, and narrowly losing out on a place in the semi-finals to Croatia. Alexander Golovin, then 22, was one of the breakout stars of the tournament, grabbing a goal and 2 assists in the opening game, providing the side's creative spark throughout the competition, and even making 8 tackles and interceptions in that famous win over Spain. And he came into Euro 2020 in excellent form too, registering 5 goals and 9 assists in just over 1,000 minutes for Monaco last term, and looking a real threat in Russia's World Cup qualifiers. But he wasn't able to inspire his country this time round. Stanislav Cherchesov's side came bottom of a seemingly straightforward group, scored just twice and were trounced by both Belgium and Denmark, conceding 7 in total. Having averaged 2.9 key passes per 90 in Ligue 1, Golovin's chance creation fell by 2/3 as he adapted to different roles across the 3 games. As a result, Russia looked well and truly blunted, severely lacking ideas in every match. 5. Yannick Carrasco. We're perhaps being a little harsh with this one too, but considering how essential Yannick Carrasco was to Atletico Madrid's title win this year, he'll be disappointed with the relative lack of impact he's had for his country. Used primarily as a left wing-back to superb effect by Diego Simeone last term, Carrasco has always been used further forward by Roberto Martinez, with Torgan Hazard having long been positioned as Thomas Meunier's corresponding wing-back for Belgium. And it hasn't gone well so far for the Atleti man. He completed just 4 of the 11 dribbles he attempted against Russia, created just 1 chance and took just 1 shot in 139 minutes of action, and hasn't really featured since being replaced by Eden Hazard against Denmark. This just isn't good enough for a player who averages around 2 shots, 2 key passes and 3 dribbles at the Wanda Metropolitano, and came into this tournament in some of the best form of his career. 4. Serge Gunabri. But while a player like Carrasco was expected to impress based on his club form, Germany forward Serge Gnabry entered the Euros with one of the best records in international football. Before the tournament started, he'd hit 16 goals in just 22 games for Die Mannschaft, benefiting from manager Joachim Löw's tendency to play him at centre forward. Like with the aforementioned Kane, this video goes out before Germany's last 16 clash against England, so there is still a chance he could turn his tournament around. But he looked a shadow of the player we know he's capable of being in the group stage. Nowhere near as penetrative as he has been for club and country over the last 2 years, the Bayern man averaged just 1.6 shots per 90, fewer than teammate Mats Hummels, with Kai Havertz consistently looking the side's main goal threat. This wouldn't be a problem if Gnabry was contributing in other areas, but he isn't, averaging just 0.4 key passes per 90 and winning possession less than once a game. Germany's lack of an out-and-out centre-forward has been an ongoing issue since Miroslav Klose's retirement in 2014, and judging by his tournament so far, Gnabry is not the answer. We wouldn't be surprised to see Hansi Flick move him back out wide once he takes over. 3. Kylian Mbappé. Kylian Mbappé wasn't France's worst player at this European Championship, but considering just how brilliant he had been at the World Cup 3 years ago, his performance this time round left a lot to be desired. One of the main driving forces behind Les Bleus' triumph in 2018, Mbappé netted the superb brace that got them past Argentina in the last 16 and also sealed their victory over Croatia in the final. He won Young Player of the Tournament while only Harry Kane scored more than his 4 goals. Now 22, with a wealth of experience on the biggest stages and comfortably among the very best players in world football, the expectation was for the PSG man to have another big tournament. And quite simply, he didn't, with teammates like N'Golo Kanté and Paul Pogba outshining him. He may have put up more shots than anyone else in Didier Deschamps' squad, but he didn't find the net once. His link-up play was the most effective element of his game, and it was brilliant at many points. But his ability to skin defenders and rip open back lines with his world-class movement, pace and skill wasn't seen enough. And when it mattered most, he failed to deliver, missing the decisive penalty in their shootout defeat to Switzerland, following a 120 minutes in which he'd helped get the side back into the game by creating 2 goals, but also fluffed some good chances himself. This failure will no doubt spur the youngster on to achieve even more greatness in his career, but it nevertheless remains a heartbreaking chapter in his story. 2. Bruno Fernandes. Considering just how central Bruno Fernandes has been to Man United's fortunes over the last 18 months, it was never likely he would be as important to Portugal this summer. And bearing in mind the fact he played over 4,500 minutes of football for the Red Devils last term, it's not that surprising to have seen him look pretty leggy at the tournament. However, a brace against Israel in the Seleção's final friendly suggested he was ready to play a key role for Fernando Santos, and with the likes of Bernardo Silva and Diogo Jota to link up with, it looked like he could do some damage in the group stage. However, all three failed to impress, and Bruno looked particularly out of place, with the side far more balanced and dangerous with him off the field and Renato Sanchez on it. He was still the side's top creator, but the quality of his chance creation was nowhere near the calibre we've seen at club level, while the kind of tenacity he often displays off the ball was rarely seen in his 2 starts against Hungary and Germany. One of a number of players for whom a summer of rest would have been ideal. 1. Hakan Chalanolu. There's no doubt that Turkey have been the most disappointing team at Euro 2020. While their form over the last year was patchy, an eye-catching win over the Netherlands and the excellent form shown by many of their players at club level saw them marked out as dark horses. One such player was Hakan Chananolu, who revived his career at Milan towards the back end of the 2019-20 season. With 13 goals and 18 assists across the last 2 Serie A campaigns, as well as 2 goals and 3 assists in Turkey's recent World Cup qualifiers, a lot of responsibility rested on his shoulders as the creative hub of the side. But in Turkey's group games, he was often left exposed by his lack of pace and technical prowess, which to be fair could be said of a lot of his teammates too. But with Cengiz Ünder the side's main attacking threat, and Burak Yilmaz missing a host of chances, Chananolu simply saw the tournament pass him by. So those are our 10 most disappointing players at the Euro so far, but do you think we've been harsh with any of them, and do you have any shouts yourself? Let us know down below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe to Football Daily if you haven't done so already. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of the Euros.